Alright, me. It is sometime in late December, and I have not actually read anything for the past 2 weeks until today, so bad on me for still trying to accomplish the 50 books a year for not reading for 2 weeks. But yeah. But today I started and finished Thornton Wilder's Our Town, play in 3 acts. I was trying to remember where I had heard the name of this play before, because I had certainly never seen it. I was like, oh yeah, I had written about this play. I would have been late high school, early college, in a paper about how do we use like media to control and influence what we want the world to think, right? And I'd use this piece because of the I don't remember the exact specifics of it, but supposedly at the end of the USSR and the Soviet Union, they had performed this play in Berlin, and I don't remember if it was East Berlin performing it in East Berlin, or for East Berlin performing it in West Berlin. And when asked why they chose to do this play, someone related to it said, well, we thought that, it's a good enough play, but it's also incredibly depressing, so maybe we could have caused a mass suicide by performing it, which is one of the wildest things in the world. And I'm probably getting huge chunks of that story wrong. But it is one of those wild things about theater and about literature, that sometimes you come across stories like that. So yeah. It is an incredibly depressing play, but not for the usual suspects, right? Which I think is fun. I think it's more interesting. It is a play that is like, I think the modern revelation. Sometimes we think of it as a modern revelation, but like the whole, the best day in your life is, or an average day in your life is the best day for someone else, or the worst day in someone else's life. And this is kind of the epitome of that in a lot of ways, right? It is a play about our town. It's some random tiny town in New Hampshire that is nothing and means nothing. It's settled by the same 5 families, and it has been, it's the same 5 families that have lived there for the past 300 years. And no one moves in, no one moves out, kind of deal. And just the mundaneness of life, but also that we find incredible meaning and incredible desire and incredible things within mundaneness. And then that is all taken away from us, and we can no longer fathom what it means to be those things, because in death, through eternity, there is the only options to remain mundane or to attempt to relive all of these moments. And although we can attempt to relive them, they are never quite the same because we know the ending, right? So yeah, it's a very sad play. It's a very depressing play. It's also one that's meant to be performed in a very specific style. I think this is something I also remember. But like, there was a quote by Thornton Wilder somewhere, and maybe it was like just an interview. Maybe he was writing about his own plays at one point. That like, this is one of his favorite plays, but it's also generally performed incorrectly because you're not supposed to have any fun with this. You're not supposed to be sentimental about it either, right? It's supposed to be deadpan and straightforward, and this is it, right? Which I think is, I mean, it's hard to do because in terms of a theater and a play setting, right, you're balancing the fact that you have an audience, right, and you want to entertain an audience, but also with that creative vision is how do you capture and maintain attention while also not doing anything really, right? And it's the love and the beauty of the mundane, right? I think it was a movie that I had never seen, but I've heard a lot about, is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I think is the movie that has there's a scene in it somewhere that's like, I would have loved to have washed laundry with you in another life, right? Because there's joy in doing nothing, right? There's joy in being nobody. There's a joy in living in a small town in the middle of nowhere. And instead we find the need to make everything big and make everything important, or chase after things, right? So yeah. I'm sure there's lots more to be said about this play. I mean, it did win a Pulitzer Prize. When I first started reading it, I read the first act. I was like, why in the world did this win a Pulitzer Prize? This makes no sense. But after finishing it, I was like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. Let's see. I know there's a couple of pretty important performances of this. They just redid it last year with the last couple of years with, what's his face? I can't remember his name now. It's the guy from Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. It's him. He plays the narrator / stage manager. There's a version that has, there's like an NBC filmed version, I think it is, that has James Rebhorn, who is just kind of like these weird side characters that exists in film. There's a wonderful John Boyce thing that is a lot about James Rebhorn, but he plays Mr. Gibbs, the doctor. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I think that's kind of it for Thornton Wilder's Our Town.